Well, I want to thank everybody for joining our roundtable discussion. We have a very special guest today with us. We have Keith Winter, the founder and CEO of HomeWetBar. That's been a merchant of ours for a couple years now. I remember speaking to Keith a couple of years back when I was working the sales inbox, so it's been a while, and I want to thank you for coming on.
Well, thanks for having me, Quentin.
Absolutely. It's been how long have you been a customer of ours now?
I think we're on either our third or fourth year now.
Yeah, I think that sounds about right. 2017 was the number I had in my head, and we should have done our research on that. But I was like 2017 sounds about right.
Yeah, that should be about right. Yeah, whenever we moved over to Magento, we started with you guys.
Nice. And what were you guys on before again?
We were actually on a homemade system that I had built many years ago.
I do remember this. It's starting to kind of come back because it was like one of those. I had built this before and it worked really well on this. And does this tool do it? And we're like, we'll figure it out. We'll get it going. Awesome. That's a fantastic place to start. I know what HomeWetBar is. But tell us, how did you get started? What did you do? I want to hear about this home built website you did as well.
So we started in 2004. Prior to that, I had built a bar in my house when I was in college. It was a cool bar. It had like a, see-through bottle cap top, a fish tank in the front of it, and a lot of people came over and wanted to know where I'd gotten the plans, and I didn't have any plans. So I drew up some plans, and I put up a website called HomeWetBar.com. Mm-hmm. And at that time, actually, all we took was PayPal. It was a long time ago. That was, I think that was 2001 maybe. And we just sold the plans on there, and it was extra money, and I was helping people make bars. It was cool. I'd mail them out the plans. It was a great extra income. And then, so that's where the name HomeWetBar comes from. Since then, in 2004, we went and I was working for Enterprise Rent-A-Car. I was a manager for them, managed multiple branches. And then along the way, I started selling stuff out of my closet in my one-bedroom apartment. Quickly outgrew that.
Nice.
Moved into a two-bedroom apartment, made that my fulfillment center, my photography, my web development, everything there. And it got to where I was working, 100, 120 hours a week. I would work all day until I went to sleep. Then I'd wake up again at 4 and start all over. So it was just a lot. Shortly thereafter, I moved into the first warehouse. That was in 2004. Hired my first employee, and we've been going ever since. And now we sell. HomeWetBar is kind of a misleading name because really we're a men's gift site. Mainly, we sell gifts for men. We sell about 5,000 different personalized gifts. You think like birthday, Christmas, anniversary. We sell all that type of stuff. We sell a lot of wedding and groomsmen gifts, and then we do a lot of like corporate. End of the year gifts, employee gifts, goal gifts, that type of stuff.
Do you remember the day where you were like, hey, I got to give up the day job and this is now the side hustle is now the real job?
I do remember it because my area manager, backtracking just a little bit, I'd run a branch as an assistant manager. My manager was out on maternity leave and we had a hailstorm and we had approximately 125 cars.
Oh, wow.
The next year, I became manager of the branch. I moved around, and the way Enterprise works, you move from branch to branch every 6 months or so. So I became manager of that branch, and I had me and one other employee, and I had 110 cars. And at that time, you were supposed to have one employee for every 20 to 25 cars. So I was 3 or 4 employees short. I had 10 less cars, and she said, because you don't have 125 cars like you did last year, I have to give you an average of you. And I said, I'm running it with, I have less than 50% staff. I have no car prep. I clean every car in my suit. And I didn't have a hailstorm, so I'm getting an average review. And she said, yes. So that made an easy decision.
There you go.
Next day, turned in my resignation and worked my 2 weeks. And then I even worked the next Saturday because I was such a nice guy.
Look at you.
And moved on.
I love that. Yeah, our CEO, Karen, our company started from kind of humble beginnings like that as well. It was kind of a side gig. Our CEO wrote an extension called Matrix Rate for web shop apps. Her husband had a Magento 1 site. It was in the beta when it was released in the UK. Worked on that. She was very successful, worked in downtown London for Thomson Reuters, and the side job became a little bit bigger and a little bit bigger. So all of our stuff we've built over the years is really based on just like client demand of customers saying, hey, can you fix this? Hey, does this work like that? And that's been our product roadmap since 2008. But the same kind of thing. It's like, I've got this full-time job. It goes pretty well. I like it. This little side thing just kind of kept on turning you that way.
Yeah, that's great that you guys are listening to your customers. I wish every business listened. That really helps a lot because when they have like a need, you guys are trying to address that.
Oh yeah, yeah. We definitely aren't kind of the think tank. I think if you start thinking and trying to force ideas, that's when things don't really come. It's more of, one of the best features we got requested for just kind of came in one day of some random person saying, hey, do you think you could do this? And it was our dimensional shipping. And we're like, yeah, no, we could definitely
Oh
figure
yeah.
that out. And our CEO is a math degree, as a computer science math background, and was like, oh yeah. So we've been, rocking and rolling with that for years. But
That was actually one of the reasons why we went with your software because at that time
ah,
Magento did not support dimensional shipping. They later added it, but they didn't support it, and it was
hmm.
crazy because that's what all the UPS and FedEx have been using for a couple of years, and they didn't support it.
Yeah, no, it was definitely one of those things that I think for Magento, based off the conversations we had, it was like, oh, just go talk to these guys. They figured it out. It's pretty tricky. And then it was like, oh, okay, we'll put something in. But for a long time, it was like, just go talk to them. So we were pretty okay with that. That's how we connected up. So it was worth it. Kind of there's a couple things here. Selfishly, I want to talk to our merchants and get to know and chat with you a bit. And one of the other things is that we've kind of had a really peculiar last few months
Absolutely.
overall. I think especially, I think that we're kind of on the other side of some of this COVID stuff, but I'm really curious to kind of, rewind back your memory to around March, talk about some of the problems that you had. And I'm really interested to hear kind of how that's changed the trajectory of Home Wet Bar and kind of the way that, you're operating, thinking like that. So I'd be kind of curious to know, when was the first day you realized, hey, something might be going on? So thinking back to March, but when did you first think, okay, hey, my ears are perking up?
Well, I started paying attention to what was going on in China back in January.
Okay.
Um, and so at that time, we moved to secure 6 months inventory. So I told
Mhm.
my purchaser, I said, hey, there's some stuff going on in China. Whether it comes here or not, it's going to disrupt the supply chain. We need to start securing inventory now so we can take care of our customers. So as soon as we saw that happening, we started moving to start bringing in inventory. And
Mhm.
then um, when the virus struck in March, um, you know that was a big blow for everybody. I think having businesses close and then people not knowing if they have a job, and then it started with like, okay, we're canceling the NBA games, and then we're canceling the baseball games, and then it just snowballed,
And then
and
it
everyone
just
was
March
yeah,
Madness is gone.
everyone's freaking out buying all the bread, and the toilet paper. Where is all that toilet paper? Who knows?
It's
Um,
in like one couple's like basement. It's just full of it, and they just like look down there and open the door. It's still there, and they
that's
close it.
right. I mean, someone has all this toilet paper. We still haven't recovered from the toilet paper shortage of 2020. Um, so when that struck, I mean, I started. We've been putting money away, for rainy days. I know that happens. We've been through business cycles where we go down and up, and so I was reassuring employees that they have a job. We're going to take care of you, make sure that you have a job here, no matter how long this takes. We're not just going to do blanket layoffs. I think that's if you have to do it, you have to do it. But if you don't have to, I prefer not to. Um, we gave our fulfillment and production employees a pay increase as soon as the downturn started because they were getting a
Love
few less
that. I,
hours.
I,
And
I love that. That was one of the things that I was like, we gotta highlight that because I just love the way that I love the way that you operate things, and it's so cool.
well, I mean, they're kind of some of the lower paid workers, and it's going to impact them more. Was my thinking. So we gave them a raise as soon as it started to get them through this period until we had more business. And then even though we were losing money each day, we had maybe a few less hours. We tried to keep everyone on payroll and find things for them to do, whether that's fulfilling an order or just trying to find some other tasks that need to be done around the office.
Absolutely. And then so you're located in Oklahoma. Did you guys get in stay at home, or were you guys an essential business, non-essential business? How'd that work for you guys there?
In Oklahoma, we made some adjustments. Since we're not front facing, we were allowed to stay open, but
Okay.
we shut down our customer pickups. We didn't allow that. We didn't allow the people to come in the office. We moved all the employees we could remote, so my marketing people, my customer service moved
Mhm.
remote. But the fulfillment, obviously have to be here to fulfill the orders.
Yeah. It's interesting you mentioned the pickup. That was one of the things that we saw take off. One of the most added features we had from April, May, and still in June is pickup, because people are putting it outside. Like I got some books from Barnes and Noble, but they put it in like a plastic tub and they put it out there, and you had to like as soon as they went in the door, you could go out there and grab it. And that was one of the things that we actually saw as a really big key differentiator for some of these customers to kind of help keep the store alive. But that was a lot more brick and mortar, kind of front facing.
Yeah, I wanted to. There's also the employees that could not work remotely. I wanted them to feel comfortable. So part
Mm,
of making them feel comfortable is not bringing in a bunch of people, because everyone was freaked out. I mean,
yeah.
I think everyone's a lot more calm right now, but in March, if you recall, everyone was just freaked out about it.
Oh
They
yeah.
were really hyping it, and everyone was very freaked out, and no one knew, because everything was shutting down. That was, people on the news every single night. They're having
Hmm.
COVID watch and everything else. It was a little bit different time. I think we'll look back on it and realize it was really a moment in time that everyone's going to remember.
Oh yeah. I think I watched that movie Contagion. I don't know if you saw that.
Oh yeah,
Kind of around
yeah.
the same time, and so like it was a little bit, it was a lot more in my head than anything else. I was making it a lot worse. So it sounds like the first thing you really focused on was kind of secure, like taking care of the house first, taking care of the people, the employees, and saying, hey guys, we're going to weather the storm. While you were doing that and shoring that up, what was going on the website? Did you notice people's like buying patterns change? Were people buying different things, or what did you see on the website? And when did you start seeing the website affected?
So we saw that pretty quickly in March. We were down. We were on a trajectory to be growing 30% for the year. So
Hmm.
what that means is January through October, we're going to be growing more like 40 or 50%.
Hmm.
And then in December, it'll be a smaller amount because they're bigger months for us.
Hmm.
Um, we went from positive sales growth to negative 60%. So,
Wow.
I mean, it was just crickets.
Wow. Yeah, that's a big change.
So we had a huge drop in March. It definitely was not paying the bills. Definitely a lot of out-of-pocket expenses, and keeping our employees, making sure that they were taken care of. And then in the April, we started to see recovery, and we've seen even more in May. May's been a nice up month for us. June's looking like a nice up month for us. We're seeing a lot of repeat business and customers that are coming back for our gifts, because we do, personalized gifts. And
Mhm.
even with the stores open, there's not that many places they're providing personalized gifts like we do.
Absolutely. And have you noticed anything different, sort of different category selling compared to, these 2 months compared to 2019?
Well, we're a huge Gifts for Men website.
Hmm.
So an increase in gifts for men wasn't unexpected with stores being closed,
Hmm.
and travel being restricted. But we are seeing a lot of like weird gift selling that we normally don't see outside of Christmas, like putting greens and stuff have started selling crazy. I guess,
That makes sense.
people need to keep entertained indoors, so they're buying putting greens and weird stuff we normally don't sell.
Oh, that's pretty interesting. Yeah, I was wondering that because, in Austin, where we're based, some of the golf courses were still kind of open. Not during like the heyday, but it was more of like a, hey, if you want to go walk the course, go walk the course. So I could see,
Absolutely.
you can't go to Academy or whatever your sports location is. It's like, I'll just get a set of tees and, well, I'll just get my name on them too. I can order them. Like, I'll just
Yeah.
get, my initials. So it's like, why not?
Yeah. Here we've seen, I mean, I've probably seen more people walking in the past 3 months than I've seen in my entire life. Everyone's walking, everyone's out, which is fantastic. But people need stuff to do, and they also need, you know, gifts and things when the stores are closed. Life still happens, and so
Absolutely.
that's been good for us in the months of April and May, and we're expecting that to continue, that momentum.
Absolutely. I'm wondering if you guys, if you're sort of industry and vertical, I don't know if you've heard of the concept of like revenge purchasing. So it's something that started kind of in China, where like once COVID kind of took the wave first went down, and we beat it. The first time, people were going out and buying, they were splurging on things. People were buying like luxury goods, or they were buying themselves like a little something. So I'm wondering if, those guys are like, what, it's finally time to get Woody's Tavern, for the man cave, or things like that. Or it's, hey, I gotta send this to my friends as gifts. I wonder if you guys have a lot of that purchasing.
Um, I'm sure that we have some of that going on. Some of
Hmm.
that sending it. I can't meet you in person, so here's a
Yeah,
gift for you type thing. I
yeah, oh,
definitely
for
some of
sure.
that.
Yeah, I sent my brother. My brother's really big into grilling and like smoking, so I sent him like some Traeger stuff. I
Oh
was like,
yeah.
yeah, here you go. Something like a little Traeger gift. It's he cooks with. I don't know what he does with
I
it. That's
I mean, I'm with your brother there. I bought a smoker during the deal, and all of a sudden I started. Now I'm a barbecuer. I don't know. It's
oh, there
crazy.
you go. Exactly. That's I mean, he doubled down, and
Uh,
my sister-in-law was like, yeah, no, we just have pounds of meat now at all times. They're keto, so
that's
I guess
right.
it works out. So what areas are you expecting kind of the biggest bounce back on? Like what's still down, and what are you seeing kind of like rising past this? Like, do you see any verticals that would sort of react differently from this? Like, like you said, gifting. Do you see, are people buying things more for, different people or anything like that?
I think obviously the corporate gifts have been a lot
Hmm.
slower this year because a lot of businesses were closed or they delayed, or like we had a company party in March scheduled. We had to cancel it because of the COVID. I think that
Hmm.
happened to a lot of people. So we're anticipating the corporate gifts to come back in the late summer, fall,
Hmm.
and those being bought again. And then we're anticipating that um, we also do a lot of life events. So whether we do birthdays, anniversaries,
Hmm.
weddings, so we're anticipating that those weddings that were canceled earlier this year are going to be picked up in the fall, and that'll lead to more buying in those
Hmm.
categories.
Do you kind of, what's your gut say about like corporate gifts? Because one of the things that I've noticed, and I've talked to other, leaders like ourselves and organizations, is I think people are hyper aware of it right now and they're doing more. Do you expect to see corporate gifts sales go higher than they normally would be, or what are your thoughts on that? Or do you think people are pinching pennies?
I think it's a little bit up in the air right now.
Hmm.
I think that we're in a different time frame. I would hope that that would happen,
Hmm.
but I don't know. I don't know how people are going to spend the money that the corporation's been stockpiling. I just don't know how they're going to do it currently.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested on that. You'll get an email from me in a few months on that, and I go, hey, do you ever notice anything around that? So we're talking about buying and things like that. What did you change any sort of your marketing or your messaging? Because you mentioned putting greens. Did you change any of the wording from being, you're stuck at home, buy a putting green? Did you do any sort of like light changes on the front end of the website? After you started seeing buying change?
We haven't made a ton of changes to that.
Mhm.
Our focus is still on the gift, the personalized gifts, because that's what we do best and makes us different. But we have had a lot more of with the COVID, we've been having to buy a lot more ads.
Mhm.
So that's been a little more expensive, but overall, I wouldn't say there's a ton of changes on the messaging there.
And are you seeing those ratios on the ads change a lot? Are you having to is the click cost just going through the roof, or?
Um, I would say that initially click cost was down, right? Because there was
Mhm.
less businesses advertising.
Yeah,
Now probably click cost is the same or higher than it was a year ago because people are wanting to make
interesting.
up business.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. And kind of talking about that, Father's Day is around the corner, or well, it's in a few days for us. So talking about, I'm not too sure when this is going to go out. So happy Father's Day, Dad. Because I'm assuming this is going to come out late. But talking about leading up to the projections of it, I'm guessing that you see a pretty gradual ramp up through the few months, and then right around a couple weeks around, everyone's panicking and buying things for their dad. What was that? What did sort of that ramp up look like this year in comparison to last year? Is it marginally? Are they can you notice trends between them, or is it still just kind of 2020 is the write-off year?
We've seen a big spike in Father's Day business this year. I think that's driven by the macro environment, right? So
Hmm.
if you have an elderly parent, you're probably not visiting them because you don't want them to get sick.
Hmm.
You may not be visiting your parents as much just because you don't want to travel as much because you're concerned about the COVID, or maybe you don't want to get on an airplane. So we are definitely seeing an uptick in Father's Day business. I think it's due to that. It wasn't completely unexpected as we have 4,000 gifts for men, but it was a little bit larger volume than normal.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, you guys have a great catalog. It's interesting. I love the idea of buying. The foresight you had to buy for 6 months. Say, hey, this is going to shut down. We're going to do that. Is your supply chain kind of reestablished, or have you had to make any more orders since then, or how's that going with your contacts over there?
We're still making orders. We get some stuff. Our situation is that we're a manufacturer. So some things come from China, some things come from the US, raw goods come from the US. And it's interesting because like last month, some of the businesses there in the US were closed down. So some of our supplies, we were running kind of low on. Some of them we've run out of a few things. But our purchasing team's done a really good job of keeping us in stock. So we've been very happy with that. There have been some challenges, and there continue to be some challenges with the supply chain. And currently, we're seeing, like, if you're trying to bring it from China, there are some delays, like bringing it on the boats and such.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. And were your purchasers tempted at all about the people who are saying, "Hey, you guys should sell masks on your website," or "Hey, you guys should sell hand sanitizer"? Did they bring that up to you at all and say, "Hey, Keith, people are looking for this. We could throw some on the site. I can get my hands on some"?
Well, actually, interestingly, you mentioned that we were going to do the face shields. We were going to produce them because we have the equipment to produce them. And we had outlined all the materials we needed to start making them. We were going to sell them to the state at near cost. And then we were going to donate some, but we ran into a couple hiccups. We contacted the state. The state said they didn't need them. They said they had a good supply of them, and they already had suppliers established. And then when we went to buy the supplies, we were going to make them anyway and make a few thousand, donate them to the hospitals. The hospitals, I believe that they still would have taken them, but we couldn't get the supplies that we needed in a timely manner. It was like 3 weeks out because, all that plastic and everything, no one's thinking about that in advance, and it has to be produced. So we kind of ran into those barriers. So we ended up not doing that. We've been trying to support some local charities and stuff instead.
Nice. Kudos to you on that. Yeah, we noticed that on some of our merchants, and a lot of merchants of ours, we can see the website traffic in the cart and checkout. And so we noticed that, certain verticals, firearms, tobacco, interestingly enough, all of those jumped and quadrupled and septupled, and, meats and grocers and all these things jumped. And then we noticed a few other sites that just, dropped off. They were down 80%, their traffic was. And, we kind of marked it, and, that was kind of one of our ways to kind of keep our finger on the pulse, because our thought was, man, is e-commerce, like we do shipping. Are these trucks going to stop? That was our big fear. Right. And, we noticed that a few of these sites, they went from the bottom part of their request traffic that we were mapping to all of a sudden, like, doubled and tripled. And we thought, where in the world did this go? What happened here? And it was customers that they said, hey, we have everything to make hand sanitizer. We made fog for concerts and things like that. Concerts aren't happening. We're making hand sanitizer. And you're just like, brilliant. The light bulb goes off. Sort of the American ingenuity goes. It's pretty much pure alcohol. It's got how you got to burn it. Let's just make it hand sanitizer. So I love seeing things like that.
Absolutely. There's some businesses here that have been doing that, and I think it's kept them busy, the ones that are making the hand sanitizer, because there's been such a shortage.
Yeah. Did you have any sort of like the distilleries around you or anyone that kind of pitched in on that?
Absolutely. There's a distillery in Guthrie, which is just north of us, and they're doing that, and some of the other distilleries are doing that as well. And then weirdly enough, I don't know if this is true across the U.S., but I know a couple brewery owners, and they've said that their sales have been pretty solid because people still want to have beer or whatever, and they come to the brewery and buy the growlers and take them home.
Yeah, that's been one of the things that's really interesting. So right outside my apartment is a place called Craft Pride. It's a local beer place that only sells Texas beer, and it's just been kind of a revolving door. And so this is a bar, a full-on bar that has an outside patio for venue. There's a food truck there, so and it's in a really nice area. But that bottle shop has given them enough like life to just sustain. So it's like a push.
That's good.
They've been able to push every month, and they're just selling growlers, 6-packs, whatever you want. It's absolutely amazing. It's good to see that. And, we did a big thing around like local pushes for like our sales team. They worked really hard. So, I went and made Texas 6-packs of all the local breweries in Austin, and a couple from my hometown to say like, hey, let's, I want to, thank you guys. And I did the whole sort of like 6-foot drop off at their house, but it was also the whole sort of, I don't want them to close down because I want to be able to walk down there and get a beer. So I want to like do my part
Right.
for, my local community. And I think that's the big thing that I think a lot of companies that are, like us, it's really about the people around us because, if they're not, who are we going to be with? Who are we going to hang out with?
Absolutely.
So one of the things you mentioned and you kind of talked about before was, you kept your fulfillment staff around. You pared back the pickup to say, hey guys, I want you to be as comfortable as possible. I'm curious to hear about, kind of the steps that were taken around that. Like what did you guys do differently in your packaging? And did talk to me a little bit about that? Like were pickups different for trucks?
So we closed the customer pickups, and then we moved the jobs remotely where possible. UPS and FedEx have been fantastic. They've continued to pick up and deliver. I mean, wonderful partners. Postal Service. And then we implemented a 21-step daily cleaning program. We added additional contractor cleaning services. Obviously, we've added hand sanitizer all over. We've implemented temperature checks of everyone entering the building. So we've made a lot of changes there to make sure that everything is safe and everyone is healthy. And if someone we even had people try and show up that have a temperature because they know they're going to get checked. So we just want everyone to feel comfortable and everyone to feel safe and be able to provide a good product for our customer.
Absolutely. And so kind of looking back on this, and the thing I'm really curious about is, what advice do you have for people that, because, you're a founder, the CEO of this company, you've been running since 2004 is what you said? I guess
2004.
Yeah. So, you're 16 years into this, but you have this sort of, I can tell with you, it's, you care about your staff and then it's going to reverberate back out to the customers. I'm curious about what advice you have for other people that, small business owner, single proprietor going at this alone, like impart us with some wisdom.
Well, I don't know if I have too much wisdom, but
I think you got a lot. I think you have a lot. So I'll shake it out of you. What do you got? What do you got for us?
Hopefully I've learned something over the last 16 years. I think people get scared when circumstances change. And I think people get scared when they don't know if they have a job. They don't know what they see businesses around them closing, that type of stuff. And I think being open and honest with your employees and trying to convey to them what's going on, whether it's good or bad, is positive. So they're having a conversation, because whether you're having that conversation with your employees or not, they're having that conversation. So you need to be a part of that conversation, let them understand what's going on with the business, and hopefully you've put some money aside for a rainy day and you can let the employees know that you're going to be there and be there for them.
Absolutely. And are you guys doing any sort of like team bonding, phone calls? Are you guys doing like more stand-ups, or what are you doing with the team to kind of keep things tight?
It's been unique, obviously, having half the people remote and half not. But we're doing every other day. We're doing manager calls, and then my managers are doing they're having morning meetings with all their staff, and those are relaxing just a little bit as more people return to work. Those are relaxing just a little bit, but trying to keep the lines of communication open, we feel like is key, so that way if something comes up, we can address it immediately. We're a smaller company, so we've also added some HR resources and that type of stuff that employees can reach out to if they have concerns.
Nice. That's a fantastic move. I think that's the thing, is that, you do have to kind of care beyond just the 9 to 6 they are with you, or 8 to 5, or whatever the hours are, is because it, with the wild world we live in, it definitely kind of bleeds over. And, one of the things that, Karen, our CEO, always said was, we are in uncertain times. She's probably said that at least 500,000 times since March, but it's true. We are in uncertain times. And that's one of the things that we kind of keep at our core, is that we want to, act early, plan ahead, and plan to overreact a little bit, is what Karen says. And that was kind of our thing on that. Just a couple more minutes. I'm curious to know, we've made it through. We're in June. I'm curious to know what of your learnings of the last 3 months are you going to kind of apply to business? What's changed in HomeWetBar and your thinking for the company, if there has been anything?
I think that obviously a lot of the things that we've learned during this time period, we're going to keep some of the remote just a little bit. We're not going to necessarily have completely remote employees, but maybe offer a
Mhm.
little more freedom there. Maybe they can be remote a day or two each week, that type of thing once things get worked out. I think not panicking. I think looking ahead as to what's going on in the macro environment and how
Mhm.
that's going to affect your business, instead of, if we would have, say, not bought merchandise in advance, we would have gone from the problem of not having enough work to not having the product and then not having work, and we would have compounded the problem. It could have gone the other way too, but looking at what was going on, trying to be proactive and looking into the future versus reactive, I think is definitely something that we'll continue to try and do in the future, and continue to try and add products and add services that our customers want. We're going to look through what people are buying this year, figure out what are the gifts they're selling, and then add more of those in the coming years so that we can match our customer expectations.
We
Kind of
should
like you do.
definitely. Yeah, exactly. It's a good call. It's worked for us. We're 12 years. We're not haven't been around as long, but what you should do, like a semi-gag, semi-serious sort of like your quarantine kit for that little mask with the name on it. Little something,
Match
little
with the
something.
name, huh?
Yeah, a little something. I mean, personalize it. That I think, or say take a picture of your face and we'll put your smile on the mask. A little something like that. Something to think about.
No, it's cool.
Last two questions. Personal business. What's something that you wish you knew in March personally, and what's something you wish you knew in March business wise that you know now?
Ooh, those are tough. I think I wish, in the business sense, I would have known how the traffic flow is going to go.
Hmm.
It's very hard to scale up when you get really busy like we are right now. And if I would have known that in March, obviously I could have planned things even better if I would have
Hmm.
known that it was going to come back. As far as personal, um, I mean, I think everyone would have liked to have known that everyone that has a 401k or savings or anything like that, how the stock market was going to go, right? I mean, it's been like
That's true.
insanity. I think that's like a universal. Anyone that even has $1 in
Oh
savings.
yeah,
But I'm pretty blessed. I've got a wonderful family and a great crew here. We're pretty blessed at HomeWetBar.
that's fantastic. So how can the people find homewetbar.com? Is that the same for social channels? How can the people find you?
HomeWetBar.com. We're on Facebook, Twitter. Our main website is HomeWetBar.com, and then we do a lot of private label. So you won't be able to find us there, but you might get our product.
Love that. Awesome. Keith, I really, really appreciate your time today. And I'm excited to share the wisdom you shared with me to, anyone else who's ready to listen to it.
All right. Well, thanks so much for having me today.
Awesome. Thanks, my friend.
All right. Talk to you soon.